This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, pet lovers. This is Michelle Fern, your host on Best Bets for Pets. You know, if you have cats like I do and a dog, you have a challenge with when they eat. If the food's on the floor, they gulp it down. At least my cats do. They puke. Or if it's on the floor, Nicky has not found a bowl he cannot tip over. I don't know what's with him. Everywhere. Everything has to go everywhere. So I want to share with you this great discovery that my next guest invented that is just amazing. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Alden Martinez. He's the founder of Katio Dogio. Welcome, Alden.
Hi. How's it going, Michelle?
Going great. So you invented this really cool product for your dogs or cats. They're floating bowl sets. And I love the names, Doggy Diner and Kitty Kafé. I tried the Doggy Diner for Nicky, who's the messiest. He's a little dog, but he's the messiest dog ever. He always turns his bowl and flips everything over. But your bowl did the trick. He wasn't able to get it out. He'd have to literally take one piece out, put it on the floor. I think he did that twice, and he thought, this is not the same thing. I think it's amazing. First, let's talk about what the floating bowl set is, and then why did you design it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, Kitty Kafé and Doggy Diner both came out of a need. We have the same problem with our cats, constantly knocking their bowls over, constantly taking food out of the food bowl and dropping it into the water bowl. We have a lot less of that now, but basically our cats were throwing up a lot. They didn't have health issues. They were fine. They were totally healthy. But for some reason, we just continued to have problems with that, with them, scarfing and barfing. And I was like, okay, let me start figuring this out. I was working on Katio, our flagship product, which is the cat litter box that goes in a window like an AC unit. And we had a fire destroy our manufacturing facility, and COVID hit right after that. And then we got invited to Super Zoo last year, and we were scrambling because it was like, oh my God, we have nothing to put in our booth but our Katio prototypes. Like, what are we going to do? So we have about 25 products that we're working on in the background, kind of on the back burners. And the bowls were kind of second in line, along with the Super Scoop that we're going to be coming out with as well. And I very quickly and surprisingly went back to our manufacturer, who had months before that told me they were bogged down in PPE. They didn't have time to do anything. So I kind of, after we got the Super Zoo invite, I was like, okay, last ditch effort. Let me see if I can get these guys on board. And they were like, your timing's perfect. We're coming out of PPE production. We're down about 10%. We're starting to go back into consumer and commercial products. I was like, thank you. That was a huge relief. So I quickly got the bowls designed and sent it over to them. We got the tooling done very quickly and pumped out. Within a couple of months, they had given me a huge box of sample bowls for Super Zoo. And that's how things got started. It took a few more months after that. It took us about 4 more months to actually get the bowls in. But once we did, they've been a game changer. And we had 3D printed the bowls. We 3D print all our products, but we had been testing with our cats and some test groups. We sent them out to friends and family to test for us, and they've been a game changer.
And then just for those of you that are listening, Super Zoo is one of the largest events for vendors, for buyers in the pet industry. It's huge. That and I think Global Pet Expo, those two
Yep.
are probably the largest in the US.
In the U.S., yes.
Yeah.
And two of the three largest in the world. So, yeah, that was, we got the invite. We're like, literally going into scramble mode, like, oh, what are we going to do? And like I said, the bowls had I had already had them designed. We were 3D printing them and tweaking the design and finally sent them over to the manufacturer. We tweaked them a little bit more. And like I said, next thing you know, we had bowls in hand and we were off to the races.
This is a challenging question here for you, Alden. For everyone that's listening, can you give like a good visual description of the bowls?
Sure. So, yeah, this would be much easier if we had show and tell here and we could do it on video.
Right.
But since we're doing a podcast, what I did was it's very simple. It takes about 1 minute to install this. The bowls for your cat or dog install at any height. So, some people feed their cats on the floor, ground level, same as their dogs. Some people have issues with their dogs or kids trying to eat out their cat bowls, especially dogs eating cat food. It's like junk food to them. So
Exactly, right.
these can be mounted anywhere. So if you have a cat tree, you could put them at the height of the cat tree and your cat could eat out of there. They can be mounted at just, standing height like you see on our website. They can be mounted. Some people feed their cats on the counter, something we don't do. We don't let our cats on the counters, but some people do feed their cats up there. And these bowls have a little 12-inch wall mount and they have 2 slots in there. And then the 2 bowls slot directly into the wall mount. And like I said, it's 3 screws, comes with a screw pack, with a hardware pack with 3 screws, 3 drywall anchors in there. And it literally takes you about a minute to install. So very, very simple. Screwdriver or screw gun and a level, and you're off to the races. And our cats, like I said, since installing and testing this with them and our test groups, total game changer, completely aiding digestion, no more scarf and bark. They line up, which is crazy. They get in the queue to eat the food before they'd fight over the bowl. Like if you put one bowl down before the other one, they're fighting over it now. They literally line up to take a turn eating out the bowl. It's absolutely crazy. And the other thing, which we didn't think would be a side effect, a positive side effect, is that our cats have basically stopped. Their hairballs have diminished almost to nothing. Like they barely have hairballs anymore. Still don't understand why, but happy side effect. It did something there with their digestion. But again, food's not getting caught in their throats. It's not sitting in there. And imagine if you try to eat with your chin on your chest. It's basically the same thing. It seems like it'd be natural, but it's not a natural thing for them to eat off the floor. Dogs either, because they're fighting gravity. They don't have lips like we do to hold their food in. So they're literally jerking the food back into their throats. And what happens when they're on the floor, they basically, the food is sitting in their throat. So as soon as they get through eating, they walk off, they go over eating, they will just throw the food right up. So all of that has stopped for us. And it's been just an incredible game changer for us, having the bowls installed.
I'm a big fan of raised bowls, especially for cats, because I won't talk about what I use, but I really like yours. But I had to raise them because my dog was always eating the cat food, always. And you're right, they line up on their cat trees. I have one cat she's so weird. Charlotte's just weird. Sometimes she wants to eat on my dining room table is like a high top and there's a center in the middle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes she likes to hide in there. So I have to move her bowl and it's off the ground also, but it's like hiding in the middle. I don't know what her deal is. And every so often one of them is too lazy. So she's waiting for the bowl to come on the floor. But I just used to look at her back and say, no, it's up here. You want to eat? It's up here.
Yep.
But what I like also is that we know that from everything you mentioned and what I just discussed, it's really good for cats. But I like that for dogs also, it's a great option because some dogs are taller than others. Some dogs, are bending down, you can't always get the right height on a bowl. And some dogs have the floppy ears, which is an issue. Some dogs like Nikki's just a little nuts is what we call him. He has something compels him to flip the food over everywhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I don't get it. Everywhere. And he has wet and dry. So it depends. It's not always one or the other. He just flips everything. He'll find what he wants in there. Sometimes you have to hide a pill in like something.
He'll find
pockets or whatever. But everything else gets everywhere, flipped everywhere. Yeah, with the Doggy Diner is great. Now, I want to ask you, you have a bowl, there's a food bowl and a water bowl. How has your success been with water bowls getting messy? Because they're raised.
They're raised not as much of an issue like when they're on the floor. So a lot of things, a lot of positive things about having up on the floor. First off, whatever height you were just saying that your cats and dogs, cats are typically about the same size, but one of our cats is huge. He's almost 3 feet long. And our other two cats are about half the size. But so they have different heights, but we kind of have found a happy medium for them. But, with dogs, most dogs if you have two different breeds in your house, you're probably going to have two different sizes, two different heights. And that's what we like about the bowls and being able to wall mount them. You can put it at exactly the right height that you need it for your pet. The other good thing is that, like a lot of times we tell people just order 2 sets and have it split because cats and dogs, for some reason, they love to take some food out. And sometimes it's by accident, it's inadvertent, but a lot of times we see the cats pick it up, drop it in the water bowl. So we just tell people split them up, order 2 sets and make 1 set for water and 1 set for food. And that way they can't do that. So, but they tend, in general, when they're on the floor, it's always a mess, of course. And then I designed it with the placemat it's sturdy, but it's also flexible. So as the kibble falls down, you just take the placemat and you just pour the food right back into the bowl, put the placemat back down.
Okay, we're going to be right back right after this message from our sponsor.
For those fortunate to have experienced the deep bond and unconditional love of a companion animal, the death that follows can be one of the most difficult and misunderstood losses to go through. Many times, this devastating loss goes unrecognized and trivialized by family and friends, leaving grieving pet parents struggling to find healthy ways to cope with the loss. In And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal for healing the loss of a pet, Dr. Julianne Corbin calls attention to the difficulties unique to the loss of a beloved pet and provides an interactive and compassionate guide to help you process your loss and work towards coming to a place of peace and healing. For those interested in journal therapy and looking for a professionally written and compassionate resource to help understand and reconcile the grief associated with the loss of your pet, this book is for you. And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal by Julianne Corbin, is now available for purchase on Amazon and other major book retailers.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. So we're talking with Alden Martinez. He's the founder of Katio Dogio about their great new Doggy Diner and Kitty Kafé floating bowls. So we were just talking about some of the benefits of the floating bowl sets. And I was going to ask you, what about for height? And, because you have some dogs that are tall. I mean, my niece has a Calhoun hound. He's huge. He's like, 4 feet off the ground. And then there's little teeny ones,
120 pounds or something.
They're 140 pounds. He outweighs her. So, and then you have little teeny dogs. So what about sizes of the bowls? Nicky's little, he's Havanese. So he had got the small bowl. Do you have different sizes for different dogs?
Yep. So right now we do have what we have available and it's already shipping. You can go to our site and order them right now. Are the 1 cup bowls. So they hold 1 cup of water, 1 cup of food. And we will be coming out with 2 cup size and 3 cup size. And those will be for basically the bowls we have out now are small size. We'll come out with the medium and larges. We're hoping by probably early next year. And those will be 2 and 3 cup. But the difference is, like you were just talking about big dogs, we can't have the same mount that we have now. And everything that we're doing is modular. So there's no other modular wall-mounted pet bowls on the market, period. That's one of the reasons that I designed that to put on the market. But eventually we're going to come out with different accessories that will connect onto the wall mount. So if you think about a garage system where you have, in your garage, you can put a long strip and then you can put different hooks on the different tools. That's the purpose of this, and it'll be the same thing. We'll come out with accessories that will go onto there, and you can buy different mounts and whatnot. So that's what we're working on for the larger bowl sizes as well, where it's going to require a much larger mount. It will have to go into a stud, or we'll have to use toggle bolts, because there's no big dogs will just, they could easily knock something off the wall. So we have to design it to where it's, pretty solid, and it's, you can put it into. So yeah, we will be coming out with 2 and 3 cup sizes, and that's good enough for, for medium to big dogs.
Then also, before we talk about how to introduce your fur babe to their Doggy Diner or Kitty Kafé bowl set, let's talk about cleanup for the pet parent, because some, it's modular, but it's on the wall. So how easy is it? Is it better to wipe it clean, or you could just snap it out and then dishwasher or rinse it? What's the best way to clean?
Total game changer. A lot of people clean their water bowls, especially every day, and sometimes their food bowls a couple times a week. We do that just to keep everything fresh. Now, we run them in the dishwasher on the bottom rack too, and they didn't even, nothing. They were perfect. But we say, just like we say on the website, top rack dishwasher, say easy clean up. You can wipe them out very simply, pop them right back onto the, like I said, the 2 slots just make it really easy. Locks the bowls in, gravity's your friend, but very easy to take off and clean and wipe out and put right back down. The big benefit for us and a game changer, we have robot vacuums, and those robot vacuums are so strong and powerful. They have so much torque in their wheels that when they used to hit the water bowls, especially with food and water, they would literally knock stuff everywhere. So every day we would have to pick the bowls up to run the vacuum. And it's like, well, if the vacuum runs while we're not home, we're going to come home to a mess. So that was the other part of it, was these need to be easy to clean, easy to mount on the wall, modular, and, they're robot friendly, but they're also like, just regular bowls on the floor. You've got to pick them up. If you sweep and mop or clean every day or vacuuming around the bowls, you don't have to do any of that with a Kitty Kafé or Doggy Diner. They're wall mounted. The robot vacuum cruises right underneath, picks up everything, and you just obviously empty the robot vac. And the same thing for sweeping or mopping. It's a no-brainer. So total game changer on all levels, having the bowls up on the wall.
You know what? There's another advantage too, and I live in Bugland, so that's
oh yes,
are in the UK, so you don't have this. But it's as far south as you can go in the US, but we're not the South. We're like the southern northeast area, because I'm in South Florida, and we're not deep south, which is so weird. But there's bugs here.
Tons of bugs.
It doesn't matter what kind of house cleaning or what you have. It's called the tropics. There are bugs. And it seems like whenever when a bowl is raised, it's less likely to have any ant or any, mostly it's more likely ants. And that's a huge, huge benefit, because on the floor, they just seem to gather, and there's a chance in the food bowl, but up above, when they're raised, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, ants can crawl up a wall, so you could have them 10 feet up, they get to it. But what we've noticed is when we've had heat waves, we're based out of Atlanta, so we would have these, very hot times. And whenever we did, there would sometimes be ants coming in, but they're not coming in really for the food. They're coming in for the water. So that's the thing. But what we found to treat that, and it's nothing to do with the bowls or anything, but was to use oil, natural oil. You just put it on the floor, and especially peppermint oil, and they just disappear. They don't like it. I guess it burns their skin or burns their something, but they just did not like the oil. And the natural oils on the floor.
Okay, good to know.
Peppermint oil was the fix for having any issues like that. We've had it a couple times happen to us, but in general, we found that they were coming for water. They were looking for water source.
And you have to be so careful too with whatever you use if you have pets, because you never know what's going to be.
That's right.
You can't use boric acid if you have pets. You can't even. This is kind of funny, but this is true. When I had kittens that were from a kind of community cat mom that I was trying to take care of, and she kept having kittens before I could get her fixed. And we had raccoons coming, because there's all kinds of strange animals here in Florida. So raccoons would come. So I had to make a paste of like all kinds of weird stuff and put it around the perimeter of the yard. My neighbor complained and wrote like this long note, somebody's putting stinky stuff. And I went to her door. I said, I have to do that. You have to, do pet safe kind of pet friendly things to ward off animals and bugs and that kind of thing. But peppermint oil is a good tip. Okay, let's talk also. What is the best way if you have older pet or finicky pet to maybe introduce your dog or cat to the Doggy Diner and Kitty Cafe. Now, I didn't have a problem with Nikki. He went right for it. Food, water, right for it, nothing. But sometimes you have, your fur babe's kind of like, what is this? This is not my normal bowl. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, the craziest thing is, like you said, they go straight to it. Same thing with Katio. We install it in a window, they jump straight in it. Like, what is this? They're instantly curious. So, and we found dogs and cats to be the same way. They're like, what is this? Like, this is not normal. And for some reason, it attracts them. And I don't understand why, but it just works. They just go to it. But yeah, we haven't had any issues with that in our testing with, like, even with some finicky cats, they just were like, oh, what is this? And I don't know, it's almost like a safety thing for them too, that they can just sit there. They don't feel as vulnerable, like squatted down trying to eat or bent down. And I feel like I don't know, maybe they're more alert, so they're not as apprehensive to go up to the bowl. So we've had nothing but success having the bowls up on the wall versus on the floor. And, the other thing about being on the floor too, the other thing I hate about it is so many times walking and just accidentally stepping on or flipping over the bowls or kicking them. It's like all of those normal things that happen with the cleanup and the mess and accidentally, running into them. And like I said, with a robot back, like none of those things are there anymore. It's gone because they're up, mounted up off the wall. And it's like, you don't think so much about, oh, this is going to be such a game changer. And like I said, it has been, from everything from the cat's digestion all the way to, just super easy cleanup.
Also, I want to mention, because I know probably listeners are thinking, I wonder if this is a factor. I tested the Doggy Diner, so not the Kitty Cafe, but I just wanted to, and I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to this, but just in case there's some inquiring minds wondering, I wonder if that's okay,
Sure, they can't see it, right?
Well, for cats, they don't like when their whiskers are touching the sides of their bowl for food or drink. So Kitty Cafe, cat friendly, 100%. You haven't had any, bad situations, I'm sure, with whisker, because otherwise you would have redone probably the bowls. But let's just reassure everyone listening that there's no issues with whiskers touching the sides of the bowl.
Right. So that's the one other thing I was going to bring up a couple of minutes ago, and I got sidetracked. Whisker stress and fatigue. If you think about your cat, so I don't know if everyone knows this, but your cat's whiskers are exactly the same. They grow to the same width as what your cat is. So in other words, if your cat's trying to get, let's say out in nature, cats back in the day, if they were trying to get into a space, they could go to the space, to the hole, the wall, whatever it was, and their whiskers would determine if they could fit inside the hole. So their whiskers are very sensitive, and it's almost like your fingernails in a way with cat whiskers. Dog whiskers is sort of the same thing too. It tells their bodies things. But the whisker stress and fatigue that you normally have, I purposely designed the bowls to be wide and shallow so that they didn't have that problem. So if you have deeper bowls, you'll notice your animals, both dogs and cats, are going to have problems getting down in there, and they're putting stress on those whiskers every time they go there. It's basically folding their whiskers into their face. So that's the other thing. Whisker stress and fatigue, non-existent with the bowls, and that's for Kitty Cafe and Doggy Diner bowls both.
Oh, that's good to know. We're going to talk about where people can buy all of your products, but I know you're working on many other products, as you mentioned.
Yes,
earlier, but let's talk about the other products that you have available now, because you have a doggy bathroom and a cat litter box. That's
Katio.
Yeah, that's
Katio and Dogio. Yep.
Yeah, Katio and Dogio, which I think that's what started your company, right?
Right.
Those are pretty much, like we talked about game changers.
Yes.
Those are game changers. So let's talk. We have a little time left. Let's talk about those briefly.
Okay. Yeah. So Katio is what the entire company was built off of. Katio is a cat litter box that installs in the window just like an air conditioning unit does. We are still taking pre-orders with giving free shipping right now. Once we start shipping, we're going to take the free shipping off. But we have been, just like everyone else, from Apple and Tesla to, small independents like us, we have been drastically affected by COVID and COVID delays and raw material sourcing and labor shortage. I mean, everything you can think of, we've we've been on the roller coaster for the last 2.5 years. But yeah, with Katio has been an absolute game changer. My knees are banged up from playing sports my whole life. It's excruciatingly painful for me to bend down or kneel down or squat to change the litter box. By the time I stand up, I'm in intense pain for a few minutes. So having that litter box up off the floor, at window height, it's also ADA compliant. So if you're in a wheelchair or you're handicapped, you still have accessibility because it's up in your window at wheelchair height. And, Katio solves every problem with cat ownership, from where am I going to place the litter box to everyday cleaning and changing of the litter. It vents the odors outside, so all the odors are sitting outside as a window for your cat to see outside as well. Our cat Yuri, our youngest cat, literally will get in there, put his foot up against the flat door so his brother and sister can't get in there. And we have 2 sets of cardinals and 2 trees right outside. And he literally sits there and talks to the cardinals all day and watches them. So he's a little character, but it contains a litter spread. Like, it's incredible how much litter stays inside the box from them kicking. And like I said, Lars is our big cat. He's almost 3 feet long, and he loves to kick the litter around when he's done. So, and he comes flying out of the catio like a rocket. But, dogs and kids can't access it. A lot of people have problems with that. Their dog's trying to eat the cat poop out of litter pan. Kids are known to do that too. And this is, up in the window, it's away. So yeah, it's been an absolute game changer for us. We cannot wait to release this product. We've got a ton of pre-orders. We still have pre-orders coming in, and we haven't even been marketing it. But every single person that has pre-ordered, except for one person, they found out through someone else. I don't even remember what they told us, but every single one of them has been searching for exactly all the problems that Katio solves by doing just a generic Google search for window cat litter box. That's how they find us.
What is it? Window cat box?
Katio, yeah, Katio.
We're going to talk at the end where everybody can buy your products and your website as well. As you were talking, I thought that's another great benefit. So that, and this is gross, and I didn't know little kids did this too, but
yes.
Dogs do. Dogs get in the litter box.
It's like a treat. It's like a snack for them, and it's gross, but they do it.
Disgusting, but not to them, So yeah, and the result
will make your dog sick.
Is that big vet bills. So
yes.
That's a great idea. And then
yes.
I don't even want to talk about what it could do to your kids, but let's also, for the dog, you have something like a dog bathroom, right?
Yep. So quickly, just to talk about Dogio real quick. So Dogio is the same exact thing as Katio. It's Dogio, Dogio. And basically, it's exactly like Katio, but it will come with a ramp and a pee pad tray liner. So basically, you can have either pee pads inside, or you can have a fresh or artificial patch grass. And we will be selling those with as well, the patches. We've already connected with a company that makes them. They're going to make them to the size of Dogio. So basically, instead of being on your dog's schedule, you can go back onto your own schedule. A lot of times when I was living in New York, and we'd get off of work and say, hey, let's go have a drink after, and friends would be like, no, I have to go home and walk my dog. Like, they're on the schedule. I can't. If not, I'll come home to a mess. Not anymore. It's contained. It's not on the floor. You don't have pee pads laying on the floor or grass patch. It's picked up. It's inside. It's behind a flat door. The dog still has, can see outside and everything's contained in there. And again, you just stand up at the window, open the door, clean it out or change the litter pad, the pee pads, and put a new set in or a new fresh patch of grass. So same exact thing. And what I was going to mention before too about Katio is when you have young kittens and they're just getting litter trained, or you have an old or injured cat, you'll be able to buy the ramp separately, and it connects directly onto the front landing. We're also working on Super Scoop right now, which we're trying to come out with our own cat litter and Super Scoop that is made for our cat litter. And there'll be a holster that connects onto the landing as well. So whenever you go to clean your Katio out, the scoop is right there. And just when you're through, you just put it right back in the holder.
Great ideas. Where can people either sign up to be on the pre-order list, or purchase product that's available right now?
Yes, and we do have merchandise too. Besides our products, we have some merchandise available, but you can go to KatioDogio.com. That's KatioDogio.com. And you'll go there and you'll see everything we have on there. Katio, Dogio, Super Scoop coming, and Kitty Kafé and Doggy Diners are currently shipping right now.
Alden, thank you so much for coming on Best Bets for Pets and sharing all this great information about the Doggy Diner, the Kitty Kafé, Katio and Dogio, and all the great products to come. Everyone listening, mykatio.com. There'll also be information, of course, on Pet Life Radio on the episode page for this episode. It's petliferadio.com. Alden, thanks again for coming on Best Bets for Pets.
Yep. Thanks so much for having me on the show today, Michelle.
I hope you all enjoyed this show. It was so wonderful talking to Alden Martinez, the founder of Katio and Dogio. These are game changers. The Doggy Diner is the one I tried, but if you have cats, dogs, these floating bowls are amazing, and they have so many other great products. Be sure to check out mykatio.com. I'd like to thank Nikki. He was my tester and big game changer for me. I didn't find Nikki's food all over the floor, which, I love that. So thanks, Nikki. Thanks to everybody listening to Best Bets for Pets. I appreciate it so much. We've had so many great shows on Best Bets for Pets. If you have just started listening to us, take a look at some of the earlier shows that we've had. All kinds of great products. And of course, thanks to my guest for coming on Best Bets for Pets, and thanks to my producer Mark Winter for making my guests sound amazing. Now keep listening. You never know what we're going to have next on Best Bets for Pets.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.